Hey everybody, back with a new episode of Babylon 5. Last episode, we watched the fall of Centauri Prime. They were able to call the surrender. A lot of people died, but they were able to at least do that so they can start to rebuild, even though the Drakh want to also live there and kind of bank on the Centauri needing them. And Londo got the keeper on him, so that fucking happened. And he said goodbye to Chakar. Also sent Veer to Babylon 5 because he's the new ambassador. And this is where we're at, as devastating as it is. Centauri is out of the alliance. They stand alone. And it's just really awful. This next episode is called The Wheel of Fire. That doesn't sound any better. I need someone to break the wheel, frankly, because watching Londo just go ahead and let the keeper attach itself to him, I was just so upset. I wanted him to stop it, to not have it happen. But if a wheel is on fire, I feel like that's maybe a good thing, although maybe not. It's probably not a good thing. We don't have that many episodes left. But I think after this episode, there's another movie. So it's a kind of an odd thing here at the end. But I said I was going to go in release order, and that's what it says. So we'll watch this episode, and then the next movie after Third Space is The River of Souls. So we'll see where in the timeline that fits in. But yeah, this is the last episode. It's kind of surreal. But I hope we can pick up the pieces and kind of reassess where we're at right now. At least, the Centauri did save Delenn and Lanier, which, I'm happy about, but that seems like something that they did with intention too. So we'll see where everyone's at. So let's get into it.
How's Londo?
I don't know. Though I mourn for my own people, in all my life, I don't think I've ever felt more pity for anyone than I do for him.
Well, maybe Emperor Mallory will have more of a chance at happiness than Ambassador Mallory.
Don't count on it.
Doubt it. At least now things will settle down here for a while.
Maybe.
LOL.
I should mention that there are a few of your people waiting to see you in customs.
The skate club.
The meeting is at 2, Michael. Now, you better get down here fast.
He's drunk.
Sorry, there was a mix-up about the time.
You're drunk.
Mr. President,
Yep.
Glenn, I need to see you out in the hall for a moment. The rest of you are dismissed.
don't
We
know.
will reconvene later.
When did you start drinking again, Michael?
It's been a
If
while.
you're gonna fire me, please just do it. Get it over with.
I am very disappointed, Michael.
I'd rather have you yelling at me or angry. Anything but disappointed. I know I failed.
I didn't say I was disappointed in you because of your failure. I'm disappointed because I didn't pick up on this earlier. So no, you're not fired. But I am placing you on suspension.
That's fair.
How long?
Until you work this out.
Looks like your popularity back home has kicked into high gear.
On what basis?
Well,
Your
apparently your people believe that your presence on Centauri Prime allowed them to attack without retribution. You came through it alive, which they're considering another not-so-minor miracle. And you don't want the power. And people love giving power to those they believe don't want it.
This is insane. Why does the universe give us puzzles with no answers?
Payback, maybe. Evening up the scales a little.
Maybe a problem like this is God's way of doing to us a little of what we do to him.
Sure.
Captain,
Sure.
Yes, Doug, what is it?
we've got an emergency transmission from our security HQ standing by. I figured you should be in on it.
At the site of every bombing, we found the words, "Remember Byron," painted on the walls. Now, didn't you have a telepath named Byron come through Babylon 5 lately?
Sure did.
Leading a group of rogue telepaths?
Yes, ma'am, but that was
Point 2. We've traced the money used to purchase the weapons used in these attacks through several shell companies.
Lita.
Now, you are under orders to detain Lita Alexander for questioning.
You're angry.
Bravo, Miss Holmes.
Fucking ass.
Investigative work, please, go on.
Because you feel like you're alone. You need that anger to push away anybody whose compassion might contradict you. My father was an alcoholic.
I am not.
When he was drunk, he used to lash out at me, just like you're lashing out at me right now.
You just leave.
Not until I'm finished.
Get out!
No!
Fine, then I'm gonna leave. Okay, fine. So you had a hard life and your old man had some real life problems, but that doesn't mean that you understand what I'm going through. You know, in all the time that you've been here, I've never even seen you take a drink.
No, you haven't. Because I've got the same exact damn problem you've got.
I didn't.
No, of course you didn't.
Oh, so
See,
she's also a...
Children of
An alcoholic?
alcoholics usually end up one of two ways. Either they try to help everybody else because they couldn't help themselves, or they become alcoholics. Maybe that's why we didn't get along from day one. Maybe we recognized too much of ourselves in the other person.
100%.
I couldn't help my father. And I couldn't help myself at the time, but maybe I can help you. The only way I know how.
What if I don't want to go?
I don't think you have a lot of choice.
I think
Are you sure
if
about
she
that,
doesn't want to
Captain?
go, she's not going to go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They do need a power check, but Psych Ward ain't it.
I'm tired of being pushed around, Captain. You cannot stop someone who's been touched by Vorlons.
You're not the only one that's been touched by the Vorlons.
That's so fucking true.
Let him go.
You can't be everywhere, Mr. President.
Good point.
Okay,
Get her out of
you
here.
can't do
Put her in
that.
level 1 lockup.
You cannot do that.
I just want to say I'm sorry for yelling at you earlier. I know how hard that must have been for you, and I appreciate what you said and why you said it. I don't know what I'm going to do about it yet, but I just wanted to say thanks.
Oh, I think she got through to him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Michael!
Please.
Please.
I came as soon as I got your message.
There's nothing like the love of a good woman to keep your spirits up, is there, Mr. Garibaldi?
First Londo, then Garibaldi, and now this. Tell you, the next person who acts irrationally, I swear I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
Bastards! The non-government says they're going to boycott all our ships until Jakar comes home.
Well, that's not our choice. He doesn't want to go home.
They say he's staying here out of a sense of obligation.
Oh,
Glenn?
what? What is this?
Franklin to MedLab 1.
I'm offering you love and passion and co-ownership of one of the biggest corporations.
And that.
Oh. The biggest corporations on Mars.
What? You just
Michael,
got an
where
idea.
are you going?
To kill two chiefs with one stone.
Okay, let's do that.
What is wrong with her? She's pregnant.
Here we go. I want to know more about their son. Like, that's something to know, right?
If I have to choose between the baby and her, it's her.
Yeah.
If I can have both, I want both.
We know that you've been funneling money to the underground back home and in turn hitting the Psi Corps. You're doing it because you don't like what they've done to you and the other telepaths.
Yep.
Well, we've got something in common. You can take out Bester's neural block. That's when all my problems started to happen again.
Tit for tat.
And if you give me the freedom to get back at him, then maybe I might have a chance to get a little control over my life again.
And in return,
I can have a very influential corporation talk to Earth on your behalf to drop the charges.
how much is your revenge worth to you, Michael?
I told you this isn't
Lita.
about revenge, Lita. I am just trying to get back in control of my life again.
It's a little bit about
Of
revenge.
course. In that case, I have a counter proposal for you.
What?
Of course, we wouldn't be in this situation if Jakar hadn't given Lita a hell of a lot of money in exchange for her giving the Narns telepath DNA.
All right, assuming this is true, I still don't have the authority to let her go.
Well, you'll have it by the end of the day because there's a certain senator who receives a fairly large campaign contribution every year from Edgar Industries who is going to intercede on her behalf.
Okay, when she's out
This
of
is
the
morally
let her
gray.
wander around Babylon 5 in her current state.
I just happened to catch the last part of your discussion, and I believe we have a common solution to our respective problems.
Do we?
All right. Let's hear it.
You can only be what they want you to be, what they expect you to be.
Yeah, it's impossible.
If I return, they will try to make me into this, and I cannot allow that. If I stay here, my followers will continue to disrupt Babylon 5.
To solve
Is
the
that
riddle.
not true, Captain?
I hate to say it, but yes, that's correct.
So I have decided to go away. I will return when I've found a way to destroy this while keeping the message intact.
Yeah, that is a difficult line to walk.
Companion. Perhaps in my way I can help her deal with her own anger as I dealt with mine.
That's good.
Either way, as soon as I put my affairs in order, I am leaving Babylon 5. And it is entirely possible that I may never return.
Oh my God, everyone's leaving.
I made a good deal.
I have a counter proposal for you.
Did you?
Why not just remove the neural block?
Because it's a great motivator. You won't rest until it's gone, and I'm the only hope you've got of ever getting rid of it.
I don't know, this is the better deal. I don't know, this
You
is...
after 2 years.
It's a plan.
If you've done as I asked, if you've created a force I can use against the core, I'll take out that neural block. You know, the Vorlons used telepaths as weapons during the Shadow War, but what no one stopped to consider was that in a war, you have a certain number of small weapons, a certain number of medium-sized weapons, and 1 or 2 big ones.
She's a fucking nuke.
The kind of weapons you drop when you're out of small weapons and the medium weapons, and you've got nothing left to use. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Garibaldi.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know. Oh, Garibaldi. This is trading one problem for another.
I haven't heard a word from Londo since we came back. I find I miss him.
He's probably just busy. He's got a lot of responsibilities now. Hell, he's probably still celebrating his coronation. Partying all night.
He is definitely not doing that.
I hope he's all right, John. I really do.
He's not alright. He's alone. And he has no choice at all. Well, the wheel certainly turns, but it's really interesting, the conversation that Jakar and Dr. Franklin had about, you know, God or whatever it is in the universe that causes these impossible problems that in this case seems like they've just gotten more tangled. And I was loving the stuff between Garibaldi and Lockley. I love that they could relate to each other. I love that we got more of her backstory. You know, when we saw her friend, sister, roommate, whomever, lover, I don't know, in the episode where the dead came back, you know, we found out a little bit that she was a party girl, but to know that it's because her father was an alcoholic and she was in that cycle, I'm glad that we know that about her, and I'm glad that Garibaldi has someone like that for him, but he's not sticking around, it doesn't seem, and I know he's under the guise, or maybe like he just really believes that taking out Bester will fix him, but this is about revenge, and I don't really have a problem with it. I think Bester should fucking die, and I think the Psy-Corps needs to be taken down. But when it takes over your life, when it's the only thing you can think about, and it is for Garibaldi, because this is the reason he started drinking again, like, I don't think this is any healthier to put that addiction into this revenge scheme that he's cooked up with Lita. Like, Lita is terrifying. And in the same way, I think, like, she's justified in wanting to bring down the Psy-Corps itself. I do think there needs to be some check on her power, on on telepathic power, but the way that the Psi Corps operate is so fascistic, and it is like it's a police state for all of these telepaths who don't deserve to be treated like they have been. So, I mean, reform at minimum needs to happen. But I don't really have a problem with them wanting to, take them out in whatever way that means. But involving this like private industry and using Garibaldi in this way and thinking of yourself as a nuclear weapon, okay, this is a dangerous path to walk. And you got the Drock and that legacy that the Shadows left. This Vorlon legacy is just as long and is just as complicated. And the web that is being woven is so impossible. So I don't necessarily feel good at all about the things that happen here. I love that Garibaldi finally got confronted. I love the speech between him and Sheridan, where Sheridan was like disappointed in himself that he couldn't be there enough for him. He's being definitely hard on himself, but I love that he was willing to just suspend him, try to get him the help he needs, and just be there for him. So all of that was good, but like just funneling that into now this plot with Lita is not better. I mean, I'm glad Lise came and she's there for him, but like she's like wanting him to go to Mars, and this isn't going to end. Like his problem is following him there. So it's not good. And it does seem like that impossible situation that Jakar was talking about. And even his solution is the unknown. We don't know if this is going to work. Maybe that time away where him not being there, the Narn can't do anything about it right now. They're like trying to force him back. But if he just up and leaves, I mean, that does fix a problem. But they still, like, that is going to be the same as, like, if he had died, because he's already been deified. And if he's not there to keep trying to live up to this ideal that they have of him, at least it removes that from himself, where he can feel like he can freely move around and not have to constantly live up to something that is impossible to live up to. At the same time, he can maybe help Lita walk it back a little bit, or like, gain a little perspective. But even that is not a final solution for him. And because he needs them to see him as he really is, this flawed person, Narn, who has sound, good teachings. And you don't want to ruin that, but you also need them to like leave you alone and let you be. So it's a solution. I certainly feel better about that than what Garibaldi and Lita are up to, but at least with Lita there with Jakar, it helps things. But like, oh my God, like you feel the end coming, everyone's leaving, but like things aren't resolved. But I guess I expect nothing less of the show. They're not going to tie it up in a bow and make it look pretty. Like these problems are going to continue to follow them. It doesn't just go away because the show's over. And I'm curious if like any of the movies that we get into later, and even Crusade, I don't even know when that's set, but if we're going to continue in this stuff, because for everything that we've been through, the Psi Corps really needs to be addressed. I mean, in the same way, like Centauri is open-ended too. Seeing Londo there at the end, just alone by himself, it's just devastating. Impossible situations. I don't know if I'd chalk it up to like a divine creator, like kind of showing you how it is so difficult for them. But I love how they kind of weaved all of these stories together and showed like all these situations that are just impossible. And like, everyone's trying to navigate them in the best way that they can, some in better ways than others, but it's all very complicated. And then you've got Delenn, who's now pregnant. I know we've heard talk about their son, I believe his son, but I don't really remember what they said. And, Sheridan's not going to live that much longer. I mean, 20 years, but that's going to come and go. So I know he was like, save her, which makes complete sense. But we also know she has him and that she lives. And I wonder what she feels about the matter, because it's ultimately going to be up to her. But yeah, I mean, they're, going back to Minbar, like things are changing, but things aren't just going to be sunshine and rainbows. The show never really gives you that, even after the mini wars and the victories that we have. Like it just immediately gets into another problem. But that's life. That is life, and that is something that Jakar and Dr. Funkin were, ruminating about. It's an interesting thing, I think that's one of the reasons we love watching stories, because there can be a happy ending. But with a story this complex and layered, they aren't just going to do that. They are going to show you that it's a constant fight. So I really like that. But man, Lita, impossible. Drock, impossible. This is interesting though, because even if you can be with somebody on principle, practice is like another issue in itself. And like, I just don't feel good about what Lita is doing. I mean, it's not like the terrible people are in charge of that company now, Rogers Company or whoever it was. But that doesn't make it just A-okay. Like, what? Money doesn't just fix everything. And moneyed interest controlling like a senator is not great either. So like even before the New Deal was made, with Garibaldi being like, oh yeah, we can grease some palms and get you out of jail, it's still not great. So I'm very curious how they're going to wrap up the telepath storyline. It was, kind of a shock to hear Byron's name again, but yeah, I had just been thinking about what Lita was doing with the money in terms of just like trying to get a new home for them, but but she actually is funding these. You can say acts of terrorism, but you can also say like fighting back against their oppressors. So I don't really have a fucking problem with that. But it's the means, it's the avenues, it's the ends. Like, to what end? To what end are we doing this? Yeah, this is a very interesting episode, but I've got to stop talking because I keep coughing. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back soon.